think his latest project, which is about Muslims in Europe, I think that's what he's currently doing, and I think that's one of the reasons that he's in London, and I think we'll hopefully see more of him as this project unfolds. And we have amongst us obviously many other luminaries of the Pakistani diaspora and others from the scholarly world, and I think I won't say much, and I think I will invite His Excellency to say a few words and enlighten us with his thoughts. Sir, please.
Colonel Sahab, thank you so much for that very warm introduction, for inviting these very distinguished guests. Many of them are my old friends. I'm recognizing many friends here. And I'm thanking you on behalf of my wife, my family, my daughter Dr. Amne Hoti, my assistant Frankie Martin, Dr. Aisha, Dr. Roger Bose, Dr. Moin. So we are really very grateful you've given us this chance to sit with all our friends and get to know each other a little bit. You mentioned one or two projects of mine. I spent the 1990s as the Akbar professor at Cambridge University. And I came to Cambridge from Balochistan. I was commissioner in Quetta in '88, and I realized that the Muslim community would be facing two challenges. One would be how to define their religion, Islam, because whether you're religious or not religious, you're identified with the culture and the religion and history of Islam. And secondly, as Pakistanis, equally important for Pakistanis, was your identity as Pakistanis. And as Pakistanis, the identity of the nation goes back to the founding father, Mr. Jinnah, Quaid-e-Azam. So I spent that decade in making films, writing books on these two subjects. I did a series called Living Islam, which some of you may remember. It was a 6 hours television series called Living Islam on the BBC. Nothing like this had been done before, and it had a big impact. Then I spent the entire decade finishing the Jinnah Quartet, a feature film, a documentary, a book, and a comic book on Quaid-e-Azam, once again for different parts of Pakistani society. Now, since 9/11, I was in Washington, D.C., and I've been involved in another quartet, this time trying to understand relations between the West and the world of Islam. It's very complicated, it's global, and it's historical. Now, in this process, I have traveled with my wife, my daughter, with my assistants like Frankie Martin, throughout the world. So for Journey into Islam, we traveled in the Middle East, South Asia, Far East Asia with a group of researchers. We interviewed thousands of people. We made a film. Next project was Journey into America. I traveled for 1 year. I went to 75 cities, visited 100 mosques. अब आप सोचें 100 masajid, talking to the imams, interviewing them, it takes a long and very exhausting time to do this. But we did this because people were talking about Muslims and Islam and Pakistanis and Egyptians without really knowing very much. So I thought the best way to deal with this was to give facts and figures from the field. This is what Muslims think. This is what they're saying. People were asking very strange questions. They were saying, are all Muslims terrorists? Are they basically terrorists? You faced all this, you are the community leaders, you know the problems. The next project was the Thistle and the Drone, which Brigadier Sahab, where is Brigadier Sahab? Here he is, dashing young Brigadier and dashing young Colonel on my left, mashallah. And by the way, we are very proud of you and the services you represent. Thank you so much. Shah Sahab, would you second that? The services
Definitely.
They contribute to Pakistan. So this was the Thistle and the Drone, in which we focused on tribal societies, Kabaili log, in the frontier province in Balochistan, in Somali, in Yemen. So this was another attempt to understand the world. But one project was still remaining, and that was Europe. Because to me, as a scholar, I saw Europe as a continent with a very long-standing relationship with the world of Islam. The first time Muslims come to Europe is 7/11, straight after Islam. And the link remains throughout history. So sometimes it's a bad relationship, sometimes it's a good relationship. There were periods when Muslims, Jews and Christians lived very harmoniously. This was called La Convivencia in Spain. This means coexistence. Now, if we can have a project which can show Muslims living in Europe as Europeans, in which Muslims are the most civilized presence on Europe, on this continent, then you're able to challenge those right-wing groups which are emerging everywhere, not only in the UK but in France and Germany. You're aware of all this, who are saying two things. They're saying, number one, Muslims are not European, they don't belong here, so go home. Number two, they're saying Muslims are barbarians, they have nothing to contribute. Now when I look around you, you gentlemen, you ladies have contributed so much to your societies here. You have come here, you're part of these societies, I know you, I know how much you've contributed. But these groups are now negating everything. So suddenly, after all the years and years of hard work, people are standing up and saying, you don't belong here, go home. Where will you go? This is your home. Now, if we can have a project which actually challenges this thesis, I think we have a very effective argument. And again, like with my previous work, I'm not going to do it through emotion, I'm not going to do it through anger. That is the job of people who want to blow up things in the Karachi airport or commit suicide. I'm going to do it as I have been told by my religion as a Muslim, which is through ilm. You all know, you're mashallah Muslims here. You know that ilm is the second most used word in the Quran Sharif. Second most used word. First is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, second is ilm. God is telling you again and again, ilm, ilm. He's a Shah Sahib, so he knows this because he represents the tradition of Islam. Second, the Holy Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him, said, the ink of the scholar is more sacred than the blood of the martyr. So much emphasis on knowledge. What was Quaid-e-Azam's message? He repeatedly emphasized education in schools. What was Allama Iqbal's message? कि मोहम्मद से वफा तूने तो हम तेरे हैं, जहाँ चीज़ें क्या लौह कलम तेरे हैं. What is that mean? सोचा है आपने कभी? लौह कलम हम तुम्हें दे रहे हैं, ये जहाँ चीज़ें क्या, don't go for this wrong thing. ये बुजुर्ग हमें समझा रहे हैं कि there is something here. So we ourselves have rejected it. So again, if we can present these arguments through history, through research, you will find that Europeans themselves will be able to interact in a much more positive way. Because right now we've been traveling already, we've been to Cambridge, Bradford, Edinburgh, we went to Belfast, we went to Dublin. So we have a fairly good sense of what's going on in the UK. We are leaving for Cordoba, Andalusia, day after tomorrow, then Granada, then from there we go to Germany, then we go to Bosnia, Bulgaria, Thessaloniki. Now you're going to say so much travel, but my friends, if we don't do this, there is a debate, there is a challenge. We can't all sit and say someone else should do it. And I'm not prepared for others to define me, because when others define you, you're in trouble. And this is what's been happening. So today when a Pakistani is defined, I'm horrified to see Pakistanis are defined as terrorists or potential terrorists. Either you're a terrorist or potential terrorist. There's no third. Everyone from the frontier province of Balochistan is a terrorist. Anyone who speaks about his religion or culture. So it's very important that we are able to tell our history, our own traditions, and most important, going back to Mr. Jinnah, because Quaid-e-Azam was always a man of the constitution. He represented Pakistan. So if you throw him aside, you're really throwing aside the idea of Pakistan. That's how important he is. It's like your Baba, we say Baba-e-Qaum. You can't throw your Baba aside and then say, ye ghar phir bhi abad hai, because it isn't, you have a problem. So I would simply thank you all for coming here and spending time with us and wishing us well on our journey, because we are leaving on a very exciting but challenging journey. We do plan to come back. We launched this project at the House of Lords last month, and we plan to come back and launch it again at the House of Lords, where we bring our findings, and at Chatham House. Again, why Chatham House? Because I want to interact with the intellectuals. Now you know, because some of your colleagues in the think tanks, at that level we have to interact. I was very pleased last year I came here to launch this Thistle and the Drone at Chatham House. And we had a very good response, very good, full house, terrific response. We launched it in Islamabad with Sartaj Aziz. He himself requested it at the Institute for Strategics. Again, we had a very, very good turnout. So, I just want to thank you for giving me a chance to share some of these ideas with you, because some of these concerns are for me as an individual, but as a father, as a grandfather. I've got children and grandchildren living in Pakistan. My daughter lives, she's married to Arsala Khan Hoti in Mardan, Shah Sahib's friend, and I have grandchildren there. So what happens there concerns me directly. What happens there concerns my reputation directly. People look at me and they say, this is your country, Pakistan, this is what's happening. You people are all terrorists, 200 million people are terrorists. No, I'm not prepared to accept it. I've been very fortunate in America, people have been very kind, so I'm able to appear on major shows there. I've appeared on the Oprah Winfrey show several times, I've appeared on the Daily show, so I'm able to communicate also. But it's not a one-man job, as you know it. You can't do these things alone. So therefore, I am delighted to hear of this new initiative, the WCLP that has just been launched. It's a terrific initiative, and we need to strengthen it. So anything we can do in Washington, we will be there, and we'll be happy to cooperate and support this. With that, Kansa, once again, I want to thank you so much, and Mrs. Qayyum, thank you so much for joining us and arranging this wonderful dinner. And if there are any questions or comments, we'll be happy to answer them. Thank you so much. Thank you.
This organization means to collaborate between 8 million Pakistanis living outside Pakistan on various levels. On business level, they have so much to share back home and between themselves. So we want to provide them a platform. It can be a direct platform or e-corridor. We have planned to develop an e-corridor to put all these 8 million Pakistanis audio, video on one platform so they can communicate business. Not only that, communicate education. And inshallah, this is a start in I think it's 9 months, 10 months. We have done a huge integration Christmas dinner in London, which was participated by a lot of local British political figures. So we are not only praising between Pakistanis to Pakistanis. The idea is to get Pakistanis heard by people who it means to the image of Pakistan. And I think you very rightly said there's so much volumes of work you've done. I wish I could spend more time with you and take a bit of that, and that'll be enough for me for years.
Dr. You're the young, new generation, future generation.
No, but we are here to support Dr.
We are.
Cause, and that cause is for
So inshallah, you will see WCUP going uphill under the guidance of Shah Saab and other members here, and inshallah.
We'll take guidance from Dr. Saab,
And I was going to say next that when you come next year, you will inshallah be seeing it, flourishing it more, and with your help. And we would like to take your guidance on that. And thank you, Pakistani High Commission representatives here. We are very glad that you gave us opportunity to have this company together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
I'm Frankie Martin, and I work with Ambassador Ahmed, and I've been privileged to be able to work with him on these major projects that he's discussed. And I was his student at American University in Washington, D.C., and took his class on just understanding the Muslim world. It was a general class. And of course, after 9/11, as Professor Ahmed mentioned, there were all kinds of questions about Islam. And really, the incredible thing about these projects is that we're able to go to the field, we're able to talk to people, to listen to people, and to create an impression, create a study of what's going on, and hopefully to contribute something positive, this knowledge that Ambassador Ahmed mentioned. That's so necessary for everyone because we encounter a lot of ignorance about this subject all over the world. And so we were in the Muslim world, and it was amazing for me as an American to go and visit Pakistan, and it was incredible how hospitable everyone was. And I was telling everyone back in the U.S., because again, people don't believe you when they say that, when you say that very often. And then to be able to travel through America was also fascinating. To be able to see as an American my own country through new eyes, a new lens of the Muslim community. And it was fascinating to see, to meet all of these new communities that I didn't know. I mean, there are 70,000 Bosnians in St. Louis. There are 70,000 Afghans in San Francisco, and all of these different communities, to learn about them and again to contribute to better understanding of the community in the U.S. And so now I'm just very excited to be starting this new project on Europe, and we have the same goal, to talk to people, listen to people, and to share their stories, share their voices, and to get them out there, both in our book and our film.
Thank you.